They said she wasn't enough. That she never would be. That girls like her, quiet, plain, powerless, were meant to fade into the background while others claimed the light. Her stepsister made sure she believed it. The pack made sure she remembered it. And for years, she survived by becoming exactly what they expected, invisible. But tonight, everything would shatter. Tonight, the Alpha King would arrive. And when his eyes found hers across a crowded room, the entire world would stop breathing. Before we dive in, I want to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments. I love seeing where you all are. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Now, let's begin. The cold bit through Sophia's thin dress like teeth. She stood at the edge of the gathering hall, shoulders hunched, arms wrapped around herself as though she could somehow shrink smaller. Disappear entirely. The stone walls of the Silvercrest pack house rose around her like a prison she'd never escape, and tonight, felt like the final sentencing. The Alpha King was coming. Every unmated she-wolf in the territory had been summoned. It was tradition. Sacred. When an Alpha King reached his 30th year without finding his fated mate, he traveled to the packs under his rule, searching. Hoping. The bond was rare, ancient, undeniable when it struck. And every woman in this room believed, prayed, she might be the one. Every woman except Sophia. She didn't pray anymore. She'd learned better. Stand up straight, her stepmother hissed, passing by without looking at her. You're embarrassing us. Sophia straightened reflexively, even though she knew it didn't matter. Nothing she did would ever matter. Not here. Not in this pack that had made it clear from the moment her father died that she was tolerated, not wanted. Her stepmother had wasted no time making sure Sophia understood her place, servant, shadow, the mistake her father had made by mating a human woman who died bringing her into the world. Half-blood. Weak. Unwanted. Across the hall, her stepsister Vivian stood in a pool of golden light, surrounded by admirers. She was radiant in emerald silk that clung to every curve, her blonde hair cascading like spun gold, her laughter musical and confident. Vivian had been groomed for this moment her entire life. Beauty, charm, power, she had it all. She was everything the Alpha King would want. And she knew it. Vivian's gaze flicked toward Sophia, cold amusement dancing in her eyes. She leaned toward one of her friends, whispered something, and they both laughed. Sophia didn't need to hear the words. She'd heard them enough times. You're not his type. He'd never look at you. The words were a mantra. A curse. A truth Sophia had accepted years ago. She pressed herself further into the shadows near the arched doorway, wishing she could leave. But her stepmother had made it clear, if Sophia embarrassed them by being absent, there would be consequences. So she stayed, invisible as always, watching the spectacle unfold. The grand doors at the far end of the hall suddenly groaned open. Silence crashed through the room like a wave. And then he walked in. Sophia felt it before she saw him, a pressure in the air, thick and ancient, like the moment before lightning strikes. The temperature seemed to drop and rise simultaneously. Her wolf, dormant and weak as it had always been, suddenly stirred for the first time in years, whimpering and alert. Alpha King Derek Stormborn entered like a force of nature. He was tall, taller than any man she'd ever seen, with broad shoulders that carried the weight of authority as naturally as breathing. His hair was dark as midnight, slightly longer on top, and his face was carved from stone, sharp jaw, high cheekbones, and eyes that were the color of molten silver. Not gray. Silver. burning with something ancient and predatory. Power radiated from him in waves. This wasn't just an alpha. This was a king among wolves, a bloodline so pure and old that legends were written about his ancestors. Every she-wolf in the room seemed to inhale at once, holding their breath, hoping. Vivian stepped forward immediately, chin lifted, smile perfect. "Your Majesty," she purred, dipping into a graceful curtsy that somehow managed to showcase every asset she possessed. "Welcome to Silvercrest. We are honored." But Derek wasn't looking at her. His silver eyes swept the room slowly, deliberately, as though searching for something. His expression was unreadable, carved from ice and control. The pack's alpha, Sophia's stepfather, rushed forward, bowing deeply, stammering greetings and pleasantries. Derek barely acknowledged him. His gaze continued its path across the sea of hopeful faces, beautiful women positioned like offerings, each one desperate to catch his attention. But his eyes moved past them all. Past Vivian, whose smile was beginning to strain. Past the daughters of betas and warriors. Past everyone who mattered. And then, impossibly, his gaze found the shadows. Found her. Sophia's breath caught in her throat. No. No, he wasn't looking at her. He couldn't be. She was imagining it. She had to be. She pressed herself harder against the cold stone wall, willing herself to disappear, to become nothing. But Derek took a step forward. Then another. The room seemed to tilt. And then the bond struck. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't romantic. It was brutal and absolute, like a rope snapping taut between them, jerking her forward even though her feet didn't move. Every nerve in her body ignited. Her wolf surged to the surface with a howl of recognition that echoed in her bones. Mate. 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 No. No, this couldn't be happening. Sophia saw her own shock reflected in Derek's eyes, silver widening fractionally, his entire body going rigid. His jaw clenched. For one terrible, eternal moment, they stared at each other across the crowded room, connected by an invisible thread neither of them could deny. The Alpha King's fated mate wasn't the golden beauty at the center of attention. It was the broken girl hiding in the shadows. And from the look on Derek's face, disbelief warring with something darker, more possessive, he felt it too. The bond was absolute. Undeniable. Terrifying. Vivian's voice cut through the silence like glass shattering. What are you looking at?" Sophia's heart hammered against her ribs so hard she thought it might break through. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. This had to be a mistake. Fate didn't choose girls like her. Fate didn't. Derek moved. He crossed the hall in long, purposeful strides, his eyes never leaving hers. The crowd parted before him like water, confused whispers rising, shock rippling outward. Vivian's mouth fell open. Her stepmother went pale. And Sophia realized with absolute, bone-deep terror that she couldn't run. The Alpha King was coming for her. And everyone was watching. Sophia's entire body locked in place as Derek closed the distance between them. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to bolt through the door behind her and never look back. But her legs wouldn't obey. Her wolf, that weak, pathetic thing that had barely surfaced her entire life, was suddenly awake and yearning, pushing against her chest like it wanted to claw its way out and throw itself at his feet. No. Please, no. Derek stopped 3 feet away from her, close enough that she could smell him, pine and winter storms and something wild that made her knees weak. Up close, he was even more overwhelming. His presence pressed against her like a physical weight, and those silver eyes, they saw everything. Every scar. Every broken piece. Every truth she'd tried to hide. You, he said, his voice low and rough, meant only for her. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact, laced with something she couldn't identify. Shock? Anger? Possession? Sophia's mouth opened, but no sound came out. What was she supposed to say? Sorry, there's been a mistake. I'm nobody. I'm nothing. This bond chose wrong. Your Majesty, her stepfather's voice cut through the moment, high-pitched with panic. He appeared at Derek's shoulder, his face a mask of confusion and barely concealed horror. I don't understand. This is Sophia. She's just my stepdaughter. Half human. There must be some mistake. There is no mistake. Derek's words were absolute, carrying the weight of ancient authority. He didn't look away from Sophia, didn't acknowledge her stepfather at all. The bond doesn't lie. A collective gasp rippled through the hall. Vivian's shriek shattered the stunned silence. Her? You can't be serious. She pushed through the crowd, her beautiful face twisted with rage and disbelief. She's nothing. Look at her, she's weak, she's broken, she doesn't even have a proper wolf. I am the daughter of the beta, I am. Enough. The single word from Derek carried such command that Vivian stumbled backward as if struck. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. You will not speak of my mate that way. My mate. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Sophia felt the world tilting beneath her feet. This couldn't be real. This had to be some cruel joke, some twisted nightmare. Girls like her didn't get fairy tales. They got reminders of their place, they got mockery and cruelty and... Look at me. Derek's voice gentled fractionally, though command still threaded through every syllable. When she couldn't raise her eyes, he stepped closer. I said look at me. Slowly, trembling, Sophia lifted her gaze. The bond flared between them like fire catching kindling, and she saw it reflected in his eyes, that same terrifying inevitability. He hadn't chosen this either. Fate had thrust them together, two strangers connected by something neither of them could control. But where she felt only panic and unworthiness, his expression showed something else entirely. Determination. Possession. A fierce protectiveness that made absolutely no sense for a man who'd known her for less than 5 minutes. What's your name? He asked quietly. Sophia. Her voice came out as barely a whisper. Sophia Whitlock. Sophia. He repeated it like he was tasting the syllables, testing how they felt on his tongue. Something flickered in his eyes, approval, maybe. How old are you? 22. And they've been treating you like this? Making you hide in corners like you're something to be ashamed of? The question held a dangerous edge that made her stepfather take an unconscious step backward. Sophia didn't answer. Didn't know how to. What was she supposed to say? Yes, because that's what I deserve? Derek's jaw tightened. His hand lifted slowly, giving her time to pull away, and then his fingers, calloused and warm, brushed against her cheek. The touch sent electricity racing down her spine, and her wolf whined with a longing so intense it physically hurt. You're shaking, he observed. I'm scared. The truth fell from her lips before she could stop it. Of me? Of this? Of everything? Her breath hitched. This is a mistake. It has to be. I'm not, I can't be. You are. His thumb traced her jawline with devastating gentleness. The bond chose you. Fate chose you. And I don't question fate. But why? The word broke from her like a sob. Look at me. I'm nothing special. I'm weak, You're mine. The words were absolute, possessive, final. And I protect what's mine. Behind them, Vivian made a sound like a wounded animal. Their stepmother looked like she might faint. The entire pack stood frozen, watching their world reorganize itself around this impossible truth. The forgotten girl. The shadow. The one they'd mocked and dismissed and taught to believe she was worthless. She was the Alpha King's fated mate. And from the look in Derek's eyes, fierce and unyielding and burning with something that terrified her, he had no intention of letting anyone make her feel small ever again. Pack your things, he said, his hand sliding down to capture hers. His fingers intertwined with hers, warm and strong and unbreakable. You're coming with me. What? Now? I can't just. You can. You will. His silver eyes held hers captive. Unless you want to stay here? With them? Sophia looked past him at her stepsister's hateful glare, her stepmother's cold calculation, the whisper spreading through the pack like poison. They would make her life hell for this. They already hated her, now she'd committed the unforgivable sin of being chosen when they were overlooked. There was nothing for her here. There never had been. But leaving with him, with this stranger who looked at her like she was something precious when she'd spent her whole life being told she was worthless, that was terrifying in an entirely different way. I need time, she whispered. Please. I need to think. You have until dawn, Derek said, though his expression suggested he didn't like it. But know this, Sophia, you're mine now. The bond is absolute. Running won't change that. Hiding won't change that. You can accept it willingly. His eyes flashed silver, ancient and primal. Or I will claim you anyway. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. And as he finally released her hand and stepped back, Sophia felt the loss of his touch like a physical wound. What had fate done to her? And why did part of her, the part she'd tried so hard to kill, actually want to believe this was real? Sophia ran. The moment Derek turned to speak with her stepfather, his voice low and edged with barely restrained fury, she slipped through the arched doorway and fled into the night. Her thin dress offered no protection against the cold, but she didn't care. She needed air. Space. Distance from the catastrophe her life had just become. Her feet carried her to the only place she'd ever felt safe, the old greenhouse at the edge of the packed territory, abandoned and forgotten like her. Overgrown vines covered the glass panels, and inside, wild flowers bloomed in defiant chaos. She collapsed onto the broken wooden bench, gasping for air, her whole body trembling. The Alpha King's mate. It was impossible. Fate had made a mistake. It had to have made a mistake because girls like her didn't. I thought I might find you here. Sophia's head snapped up. Derek stood in the greenhouse doorway, somehow having tracked her effortlessly through the darkness. He'd removed his formal jacket, and in just the black shirt and pants, he looked less like a king and more like something wild and dangerous. Moonlight filtered through the broken glass, casting silver shadows across his face. How did you? I can feel you. He tapped his chest, right over his heart. The bond. It's like a compass pointing me exactly where you are. He stepped inside, glass crunching under his boots. You can't hide from me, Sophia. Not anymore. She stood abruptly, putting the bench between them like a barrier. I need you to reject me. The word seemed to physically strike him. His entire body went rigid, and something feral flashed in his silver eyes. What? Reject the bond. Tell fate it made a mistake. You're the alpha king, you need someone strong, someone worthy, someone who can stand beside you and you think you can't? He moved closer, prowling around the bench with predatory grace. You think I want some pampered princess who's never known hardship? Some pretty ornament who smiles and nods and knows nothing of struggle? Yes. The word burst from her. That's exactly what you need. Not some broken half-blood who can barely shift, who has no power, no standing, no. Stop. The command in his voice froze her mid-sentence. He was right in front of her now, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. I want to know something, Sophia. And I want the truth. Her breath came in short gasps. What? How long have they been breaking you? The question was so unexpected, so gentle despite the fury burning beneath it, that her carefully constructed walls cracked. I don't know what you. Yes, you do. His hand came up slowly, fingers brushing a strand of dark hair from her face. The touch sent sparks racing across her skin. I saw it the moment I walked into that hall. The way you tried to disappear. The way you flinched when your stepmother spoke. The way you couldn't even comprehend that I might actually want you. His jaw clenched. They've been telling you you're worthless for so long, you actually believe it. Tears burned behind her eyes. She refused to let them fall. It doesn't matter what I believe. This bond is everything. The word was fierce, absolute. This bond is everything, Sophia. Do you know how rare it is? Most wolves never find their fated mate. Most alphas settle for chosen mates, political alliances, practical partnerships. But fate gave me you. His thumb traced her cheekbone with devastating tenderness. And I don't question gifts from the gods. But I'm not a gift, she whispered, voice breaking. I'm a burden. I'm weak, You survived. His other hand came up to frame her face, forcing her to hold his gaze. You survived in a place that tried to destroy you. You're still standing when they did everything they could to make you disappear. That's not weakness, Sophia. That's strength they were too blind to see. The tears spilled over then, hot and shameful against her cheeks. She tried to turn away, but his hands held her gently in place. I can't do this, she choked out. I can't be what you need. Everyone will see what I am, what I've always been, and they'll know fate made a mistake choosing me. Then they'll be wrong. His forehead pressed against hers, and the bond between them flared so intensely she gasped. I need you to understand something. In my world, in the world you're about to enter, there are enemies everywhere. Wolves who want my throne, packs who test my authority, threats from beyond our borders. His silver eyes burned into hers. I don't need a mate who's already comfortable with power. I need one who knows what it's like to fight for every breath. Someone who won't break when the real battles come. You don't know me, she whispered. No. A small, dangerous smile curved his lips. But I'm going to. And you're going to know me. Starting now. What? He kissed her. It wasn't gentle. Wasn't careful. It was claiming and possessive and absolutely devastating. His lips crashed against hers with a hunger that stole her breath, one hand sliding into her hair while the other pressed against the small of her back, pulling her against him. The bond sang between them, electric and undeniable, drowning out every doubt and fear. Sophia's hands fisted in his shirt, torn between pushing him away and pulling him closer. She'd never been kissed before. Never been touched like she was something precious and desired and wanted. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. His pupils were blown wide, silver bleeding into wolf gold at the edges. "That," he said roughly, "is real. The bond is real. What I feel when I look at you is real." His thumb brushed across her swollen bottom lip. "Now tell me you want me to reject it. Look me in the eyes and tell me you feel nothing." She couldn't. God's help her, she couldn't. Because despite every lesson she'd learned about her place in the world, despite every cruel word and dismissive glance, despite everything that told her this was impossible, the bond was real. And she felt everything. "I'm scared," she admitted, voice barely a whisper. "Good." His smile was dangerous and beautiful. "So am I. But we're going to face it together." He stepped back, extending his hand. "Come with me, Sophia. Choose this. Choose us." She stared at his outstretched hand, at the promise and the terror it represented. Behind her was everything she'd ever known: cruelty, shadows, survival. Ahead was the unknown, a king, a bond, a future she couldn't imagine. Slowly, trembling, Sophia placed her hand in his. And felt her entire world shift on its axis. The journey to the royal packed territory took 3 days. 3 days of riding in a sleek black vehicle beside an alpha king who watched her like she was a puzzle he was determined to solve. 3 days of stolen glances and careful silences, the bond humming between them like a live wire neither of them knew how to touch without getting burned. Derek had given her space, but his presence was constant, protective and overwhelming in equal measure. When they stopped at night, he ensured she had the best room, the warmest blankets, food she actually liked. Small gestures that felt monumental to someone who'd spent her life receiving scraps. But it was the way he looked at her that undid her most. Like she mattered. Like she was worth protecting. Like she was already his queen, even when she could barely meet his eyes. Now, standing before the massive iron gates of the royal pack stronghold, Sophia felt her courage crumbling. "It's not too late to turn back," she whispered. Derek's hand found hers, warm and steady. "Yes, it is." The moment I felt the bond, turning back stopped being an option. He squeezed her fingers gently. "For either of us." The gates swung open, revealing a compound that stole her breath. Unlike her stepfather's modest pack house, this was a fortress, ancient stone buildings sprawling across acres of land, warriors training in courtyards, wolves in various forms moving with purpose and power. Everything radiated strength and legacy. And they were all staring at her. Word had clearly spread. The Alpha King has found his mate. Sophia could see the curiosity in their eyes, the assessment, the barely concealed judgment. She felt their gazes like physical touches, weighing and measuring and finding her lacking. "Ignore them," Derek murmured, guiding her forward with a hand at the small of her back. "They'll learn." "Learn what?" "That you're their queen. And anyone who disrespects you, disrespects me." A beautiful woman emerged from the main building, her posture radiating authority. She was tall and elegant, with silver-streaked dark hair and eyes the color of amber. Power clung to her like a second skin. This was someone who commanded respect effortlessly. "Mother," Derek said, and Sophia's heart dropped into her stomach. "The Queen Mother." The woman's sharp gaze swept over Sophia with an intensity that made her want to shrink back. But Derek's hand pressed more firmly against her spine, holding her in place. "So, the Queen Mother said finally, her voice cultured and cool. "This is fate's choice." It wasn't a question. And it definitely wasn't approval. "This is Sophia," Derek corrected, steel threading through his tone. "My mate. Your future daughter and queen." The Queen Mother circled Sophia slowly, like a predator assessing prey. Half human blood. Weak wolf. No training in pack politics or royal protocol. Each word was a precisely placed knife. Tell me, child, what exactly do you bring to this bond besides fate's apparent sense of humor? Mother, Derek's voice carried a warning. It's a fair question. She stopped directly in front of Sophia, amber eyes boring into her. The Luna Queen must be strong. She must lead beside her king, inspire loyalty, command respect. She must be able to protect the pack when threats arise. Her head tilted. Can you even shift properly? Shame burned hot in Sophia's chest. My wolf is weak, the Queen Mother finished. I can feel it from here. Barely present. She turned to her son. Derek, I understand the bond is sacred, but you must think practically. The pack needs to remember who their king is. Derek's words cracked through the courtyard like a whip. And that I don't answer to anyone, not even you, Mother, about choices fate makes. He pulled Sophia closer to his side, protective and possessive. Sophia is my mate. That makes her Luna Queen. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me directly. The silence that followed was deafening. The Queen Mother's expression remained unreadable, but something flickered in her eyes, surprise, maybe, or grudging respect. Very well. But understand this, girl, she addressed Sophia directly now. Royal politics are vicious. There are wolves in this pack who will see you as a weakness to exploit. Others who wanted to be where you're standing. You'll need to prove yourself every single day, or they'll tear you apart. Then they'll have to go through me first. Derek's voice was absolutely final. But as the Queen Mother swept away, Sophia caught the look she gave her son, concerned and calculating. This wasn't over. Over the next week, Sophia discovered the Queen Mother's warning wasn't exaggeration. The pack's reception ranged from coldly polite to openly hostile. Female wolves who'd hoped to catch Derek's eye glared daggers at her. Warriors questioned her ability to lead in battle. Even the Omega staff seemed uncertain how to treat her, too important to dismiss, too untested to respect. Only Derek remained constant. He was patient when she fumbled through formal dinners, not knowing which fork to use. Protective when whispers followed her through corridors. Encouraging when she tried and failed to connect with her weak wolf during training sessions. And at night, when he walked her to her chambers, always stopping at the door, never pushing for more than she was ready to give, his goodnight kisses grew longer, deeper, more desperate. The bond was pulling them together like gravity, and resisting it was becoming harder every day. You're doing better than you think, he murmured one evening, his forehead pressed against hers in the privacy of the hallway. I see you trying. Fighting for this. I don't know if trying is enough, she admitted. Your mother is right. I don't know how to be a Luna Queen. I don't know how to. You know how to survive. That's more than most of them learned in their comfortable lives. His hands cupped her face. The rest, we'll figure out together. Together, she repeated, testing the word. Together, he confirmed, sealing it with a kiss that made her toes curl. But as Sophia finally entered her chambers alone that night, she found something waiting on her bed. A note. And signed. Written in elegant script. He deserves better than broken goods. Leave before you destroy him. This is your only warning. Her hand shook as she read it. Once. Twice. The words blurring as tears filled her eyes. Someone in this pack wanted her gone. And they were just getting started. Sophia didn't tell Derek about the note. She told herself it was because she didn't want to cause trouble, didn't want to seem weak or paranoid. But the truth was darker, part of her agreed with it. He deserves better than broken goods. The words echoed in her mind during the day, haunted her dreams at night. 2 weeks into her stay at the Royal Pack, the cracks began to show. Small things at first. Her breakfast arriving cold. Invitations to pack gatherings accidentally never reaching her. Training sessions where the female warriors paired up, leaving her standing alone while they whispered and laughed. Then the incidents grew bolder. She found her clothes shredded in her closet. Mud tracked deliberately across her freshly cleaned chambers. And worst of all, during a formal dinner with visiting alphas, someone had tampered with her chair. When she sat, it collapsed beneath her, sending her crashing to the floor in front of everyone. The room fell silent. Sophia's cheeks burned with humiliation as she scrambled to her feet, her dress torn, her dignity in tatters. Laughter rippled through some of the younger wolves before dying under Derek's murderous glare. Who did this? His voice was lethal quiet. No one answered. I asked a question. Power radiated from him in waves, forcing several wolves to lower their heads in submission. Who did this? It was just a prank, Your Majesty, someone muttered. We didn't mean a prank. Derek's eyes flashed gold, his wolf surfacing. Against your Luna Queen. Against my mate. He stood, and the temperature in the room dropped. Everyone out. Now. The hall emptied in seconds, leaving only Sophia and Derek in the cavernous space. She couldn't look at him. Couldn't bear to see pity or disappointment in his eyes. I'm sorry. Don't. He was beside her in an instant, hands on her shoulders. Don't you dare apologize for their cruelty. But if I were stronger, if I were. Stop. His fingers tilted her chin up, forcing her to meet his gaze. What she saw there wasn't pity. It was fury, and something else. Something fierce and protective and absolutely unwavering. This ends tonight. Derek. No more, he said firmly. No more pretending this isn't happening. No more suffering in silence. His hands framed her face. Why didn't you tell me? The dam broke. Because they're right. The words tore from her throat. Look at me. I can't even sit in a chair without becoming a joke. I can't shift properly, I can't lead, I can't, her voice cracked. Maybe the note was right. Maybe I should leave before I destroy everything you've built. Derek went absolutely still. What note? Sophia's eyes widened. She hadn't meant to mention it. Sophia. His voice was dangerously soft. What? Note. With trembling hands, she retrieved it from where she'd hidden it in her dresser. Derek read it once, his expression growing darker with each word. When he looked up, his eyes were pure wolf, gold and feral and utterly lethal. How long have you had this? A week, she whispered. A week. He crushed the note in his fist. You've been carrying this poison for a week, and you didn't tell me? I didn't want to be weak. Weak? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Sophia, keeping this from me isn't strength. It's letting them win. It's letting them convince you that you don't deserve to be protected, to be defended, to be, he stopped, jaw clenching. Come with me. Where? Just come. He led her through winding corridors to a part of the stronghold she'd never seen, ancient stone passageways that descended deep underground. Finally, they reached a heavy wooden door. Derek pressed his palm against it, and it swung open, revealing a chamber that stole her breath. The walls were covered in paintings. Hundreds of them. Portraits of wolves, both human and beast forms, stretching back centuries. The Luna queens of the royal pack bloodline. Do you know what these women all have in common? Derek asked quietly, walking along the wall. Sophia shook her head. They were all chosen by fate. And not one of them started out perfect. He stopped before a portrait of a fierce woman with scars across her face. Lioness Stormborn. Captured by enemy wolves as a child, enslaved for 10 years before she escaped and found her mate, my great-great-grandfather. The pack called her broken, damaged, unworthy. His fingers traced the frame. She became the greatest Luna queen in our history. Unified 3 warring packs and brought 50 years of peace. He moved to another portrait. Brenda Stormborn. Born blind. Everyone said she couldn't possibly lead. She developed abilities that let her sense emotions and lies so accurately. She prevented 2 assassination attempts and rooted out corruption that had festered for decades. Painting after painting, story after story. Women who'd been dismissed, underestimated, called weak, until they proved everyone wrong. The bond doesn't choose based on perfection, Sophia, Derek said, turning to face her. It chooses based on what's needed. What the pack needs. What the king needs. He crossed the distance between them. And I need you. Not some flawless princess who's never known struggle. I need someone who understands what it's like to fight for every breath, who knows the cost of survival, who won't break when things get hard, she finished softly, understanding beginning to dawn. Exactly. His hands found hers. But I need you to fight, Sophia. Not just survive, fight. Stop hiding. Stop accepting their cruelty. Stop believing their lies about who you are. I don't know how. Then let me teach you. He pulled her closer, until they were breathing the same air. Let me show you what I see when I look at you. What fate saw when it chose you. And what's that? My queen, he whispered against her lips. My equal. My everything. When he kissed her this time, it wasn't just claiming. It was a promise. A vow. A declaration of war against everyone who'd tried to make her small. And when he pulled back, his eyes burning with determination, Sophia felt something shift inside her. Something that had been dormant and broken beginning to wake up. Her wolf stirred, stronger than it had ever been. And for the first time since the bond snapped into place, Sophia felt the beginning of something she'd never dared feel before. Tomorrow, Derek said, we fight back. Together. Together, she agreed. But neither of them knew that across the compound, in shadowed corners, a real threat was already mobilizing. Someone didn't just want Sophia gone. They wanted her dead. And they were done with warnings. The attack came 3 nights later. Sophia woke to the acrid smell of smoke and the distant sound of screaming. For a heartbeat, she thought she was dreaming. Then her door burst open and Derek stormed in, already half-shifted, his eyes blazing gold in the darkness. Get up. Now. His voice was pure alpha command. What's happening? Rogues. At the eastern border. He pulled her from the bed, shoving clothes at her. But that's not the real problem. Someone let them in. Someone from inside the pack. Sophia's blood ran cold. What? It's a coordinated attack. The rogues are a distraction. His hands gripped her shoulders. Someone's coming for you, Sophia. I can feel it. Before she could respond, an explosion rocked the building. Glass shattered. Screams erupted closer now, inside the stronghold itself. Derek's wolf surged to the surface, canines elongating. "Stay behind me. Don't leave my sight." They ran through corridors thick with smoke, warriors rushing past them toward the fighting. Derek moved with lethal grace, dispatching two rogues that lunged from the shadows before Sophia even registered the threat. "The safe room," he growled. "We need to get you." A massive gray wolf crashed through the window ahead of them, blocking their path. But this wasn't a rogue. Sophia recognized the scent. It was one of Derek's own pack warriors. Betrayal from within. The wolf shifted into a scarred man with hate-filled eyes. "Should have known you'd protect the weak little mate," he sneered. "That's exactly why you're not fit to rule anymore, Derek. You've gone soft. Tony." Derek's voice was deadly calm. "Stand down. You don't want this fight. You're wrong." Tony's smile was cruel. "I've wanted this fight for years." "And taking her from you?" His gaze slid to Sophia with vicious intent. "That's just a bonus." He attacked. The fight was brutal and fast. Derek met him head-on, both of them shifting mid-leap into massive wolves, Derek's midnight black, Tony's battle-scarred gray. They collided with bone-crushing force, tearing at each other with fang and claw. Sophia pressed against the wall, her weak wolf howling uselessly inside her. She was powerless. Useless. Just like they'd always said. Movement caught her eye. Two more wolves emerged from the smoke, circling around the fight. Coming for her. Terror locked her limbs. She couldn't shift. Couldn't fight. Couldn't fight. Derek's mental voice crashed through the bond, fierce and commanding even as he battled Tony. "Don't you dare give up. Fight." Something inside her snapped. Years of being told she was weak. Years of accepting it. Years of making herself small and broken and powerless. No more. The wolves lunged. And Sophia's wolf finally answered. The shift tore through her like lightning, painful and exhilarating and absolutely right. She wasn't the massive, powerful wolf Derek was. She was smaller, leaner, but fast. So incredibly fast. She met the first wolf mid-leap, jaws clamping down on its throat before it could react. The taste of blood was copper and victory. The second wolf tried to flank her, but she was already moving, instinct and fury guiding her movements. She wasn't trained. Wasn't experienced. But she was done being prey. The fight lasted seconds. When both attackers lay bleeding on the floor, Sophia stood over them, panting, her wolf form trembling but triumphant. Across the hall, Derek had Tony pinned, jaws at his throat. Their eyes met, Alpha King and his mate, both blood-spattered and fierce. Pride blazed through the bond. "That's my queen." But their moment of victory shattered when the Queen Mother's scream echoed through the stronghold. They found her in the throne room, surrounded by bodies, rogues and traitors alike. She was bleeding from a dozen wounds but still standing, still fighting. And at the center of the carnage stood a woman Sophia had seen at court but never spoken to. Lady Cassandra. Beautiful, ambitious, and, from the crazed look in her eyes, completely unhinged. "It should have been me." Cassandra shrieked, her elegant gown soaked in blood. "I've been groomed for this since childhood. I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm worthy." Her wild gaze fixed on Sophia. "But fate chose a broken half-breed instead? I'll fix fate's mistake myself." She shifted, a stunning silver wolf, and launched herself at Sophia with murder in her eyes. Derek moved to intercept, but three more traitors blocked his path. The Queen Mother tried to reach her, but she was too injured, too slow. Sophia faced Cassandra alone. And realized with horrible clarity that she wasn't strong enough. Not yet. Her shift had been miraculous, but she was still untrained, still weak compared to a warrior like Cassandra. The silver wolf's jaws closed around her throat. Pain exploded. Blood flowed hot and fast. Through the haze, Sophia heard Derek's anguished roar, felt his absolute fury through the bond as he tore through his attackers to reach her. But it was too late. As darkness crept into her vision, as her wolf form flickered and failed, Sophia's last coherent thought was bitter irony. She'd finally found the courage to fight. And it still wasn't enough. Cassandra stood over her fallen body, victorious, as Derek finally broke free, only to watch his mate's eyes close, her breathing stop, her heartbeat fade to nothing. The bond went silent. And the Alpha King's howl of grief shook the very foundations of the stronghold. The healers worked through the night, but their faces told the story. The damage is too severe, the head healer whispered to Derek, who refused to leave Sophia's side. Her wolf is too weak to heal wounds this catastrophic. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. Even the bond can't save her from this. Derek stared at Sophia's pale, still face. At the bandages covering her torn throat. At the mate fate had given him, only to rip away before he could truly know her. No, he said quietly. There's one more option. The Queen Mother, herself bandaged and broken, looked at her son with dawning horror. Derek, no. The ancient ritual, it's forbidden for a reason. The cost. I don't care about the cost. His voice was absolute. I won't lose her. You could die, his mother insisted. You could destroy your wolf, your power, everything that makes you. Without her, I'm nothing anyway. He pressed his forehead to Sophia's cold hand. She's my mate. My queen. My everything. The Queen Mother's eyes filled with tears. She doesn't even know if she wants this life. You'd risk everything for a girl who was ready to run. She fought, Derek said fiercely. At the end, she fought. Not for herself, for me. For us. He looked at his mother. That's all I needed to know. Then I'll help you, the Queen Mother said softly, resignation and respect warring in her voice. But Derek, if this fails, the pack loses both of you. Then it won't fail. He lifted Sophia's limp hand to his lips. I won't let it. Because loving her meant risking everything. And he'd finally found something worth the risk. The ancient ritual required blood, fire, and a sacrifice most alphas would never make. Derek would give it all. The healers cleared the chamber as the Queen Mother drew symbols on the stone floor in ash and silver dust, markings so old they predated written language. Sophia lay in the center, her breathing shallow, her heartbeat a fragile flutter against the silence of death. Once you begin, there's no stopping, the Queen Mother warned, her voice heavy. You'll be binding your life force to hers. Your wolf to her wolf. If she's too weak to accept it, you'll both burn out. I understand. Derek knelt beside Sophia, taking her cold hand in his. Through the bond, barely a whisper now, he could feel her slipping away, drowning in darkness. He wouldn't let her drown alone. The words must be spoken in the old tongue, his mother continued, handing him an ancient blade. And you must mean every syllable. Half-hearted magic is worse than no magic at all. Derek drew the blade across his palm without hesitation. Blood welled up, dark and rich with alpha power. He pressed his bleeding hand to Sophia's heart and began to chant. The words were ancient and guttural, a language of wolves and wild magic. As he spoke, power erupted from him in waves, not just his strength, but his very essence. His wolf howled in pain as it was torn apart and rewoven, threads of his life force flowing into Sophia like rivers of liquid gold. The bond flared between them, no longer a whisper but a roar. Through it, Derek found her, lost in a void of darkness and pain, her spirit nearly extinguished. Sophia. His mental voice crashed through the emptiness. Come back to me. I can't. Her voice was so faint, so broken. I'm not strong enough. I never was. Then take my strength. He poured everything he had into the bond, his power, his wolf, his unwavering certainty. Take everything I am. Just don't leave me. Derek. I love you. The words rang through the bond like a bell, pure and absolute. I love you, Sophia. From the moment fate chose you, from the first time you tried to hide in the shadows, from every brave moment you thought was weakness, I've been falling in love with you. The confession seemed to ignite something inside her. A spark. A ember of will that refused to die. You barely know me, she whispered, but there was hope in her voice now. Desperate, fragile hope. Then come back so I can know you. His power surged harder, burning through him like wildfire. Come back so I can hear your laugh. So I can watch you realize how strong you actually are. So I can spend a lifetime proving that fate knew exactly what it was doing. It hurts. I know. But pain means you're alive. Pain means you're fighting. He could feel his own strength depleting, his wolf growing weaker as he gave everything to her. And we fight together, remember? You don't get to quit on me now. Silence stretched between them, vast and terrifying. Then, so faint he almost missed it, her wolf stirred. Not the weak, dormant thing it had been before. Something new was forming in the forge of their combined power. Her wolf was being reborn, fed by his strength, tempered by her will to survive. Derek. Her voice was stronger now. If I come back, if I accept this, I can't be the same girl who hid in shadows. Good. His mental voice was fierce with pride. Because I don't want that girl. I want the woman who faced down assassins even though she was terrified. The woman who fought when everyone told her she was too weak. I want my queen. Your queen, she repeated, testing the words. My everything. The bond exploded. In the physical world, light erupted from their joined bodies, gold and silver intertwined, ancient magic responding to the purest form of sacrifice. Derek's mother gasped, shielding her eyes as power filled the chamber like a supernova. The wounds on Sophia's throat began to close. Color returned to her cheeks. Her heartbeat strengthened, no longer a flutter but a steady, powerful drum. And inside her, her wolf rose. Not small and broken, but fierce and whole. Derek's strength had given her the foundation, but her own will, her choice to come back, to fight, to believe, had completed the transformation. Sophia's eyes snapped open, glowing with the same golden light as Derek's. She gasped, air flooding her lungs, and Derek collapsed beside her, drained but alive. Their hands remained clasped, the bond between them now unbreakable, not just fated mates, but something deeper. Something forged in fire and blood and absolute devotion. You came back, Derek rasped, using the last of his strength to pull her against his chest. You came back to me. You didn't give me much choice, Sophia whispered, but there was wonder in her voice. She could feel it, the power flowing through her veins, the wolf inside her strong and sure. What did you do? I gave you what you needed to survive. His thumb traced her cheek. And you gave me what I needed, a reason to believe in something besides duty and crown. The Queen Mother approached slowly, eyes wide with something like awe. The ritual worked. More than worked. She looked at Sophia with new respect. Your wolf, it's not just healed. It's been awakened. Truly awakened. Sophia sat up slowly, testing her body. Everything felt different. Stronger. The weakness that had defined her entire life was simply gone. Cassandra, she said suddenly, remembering. The traitors. Contained, the Queen Mother assured her. The attack was crushed. And Lady Cassandra is in chains, awaiting judgment. Her expression hardened. Your judgment, actually. As Luna Queen, you have the right to decide her fate. Sophia looked at Derek, overwhelmed. I don't know how to. Yes, you do. He squeezed her hand. You've always known right from wrong. The rest is just having the power to enforce it. His eyes gleamed. And now you have that power. She felt it thrumming through her, not just Derek's strength, but her own. Hard-earned. Fought for. Chosen. Then let's finish this, Sophia said, standing on steady legs for the first time in her life. Together. Derek rose beside her, pride and love blazing through their bond. The broken girl who hid in shadows was gone. The Luna Queen had risen. And she had a pact to claim. The throne room had been restored, all evidence of the battle scrubbed away. But the memory of bloodshed lingered in every wolf's mind as they gathered for the judgment. Sophia stood beside Derek's throne, her own throne still empty beside his, waiting for her formal coronation. She wore a gown the Queen Mother had chosen, deep midnight blue that made her look regal and untouchable. But it was the power radiating from her that truly commanded attention. Every wolf in the room could feel it. The change. The awakening. Cassandra was dragged forward in chains, her elegant facade shattered. Bruises mottled her face, and her silver hair hung in matted tangles. But her eyes still burned with hatred when they fixed on Sophia. Look at you, Cassandra spat. Playing dress-up as queen. You're still the same pathetic half-breed who cowered in corners. Am I? Sophia's voice was calm, measured, but it carried the weight of authority that made several wolves lower their heads in automatic submission. She descended the dais steps slowly, deliberately. Because I seem to remember you trying to kill me, Cassandra. And yet here I stand. You only survived because he saved you. Cassandra jerked her chin toward Derek. You're nothing without him. You're right. Sophia stopped directly in front of her. He did save me. He gave me his strength when I needed it most. She tilted her head. But do you know what I gave him in return? Something you never could. Something you were too consumed with ambition to understand. And what's that? Cassandra sneered. A choice. Sophia's eyes blazed gold. I came back because I chose to. Not for power. Not for a crown. But because loving him, fighting beside him, that was worth living for. She leaned closer. You orchestrated an attack that killed 17 pack members. You betrayed your alpha. You tried to murder your Luna. All because you thought you deserved something that was never yours to claim. The bond should have been mine. Cassandra shrieked, lunging against her chains. I'm strong. I'm worthy. You're just a broken. Enough. Derek's single word cracked through the room like thunder. He rose from his throne, moving to stand beside Sophia. You'll address your Luna Queen with respect, or you won't speak at all. The command in his voice forced Cassandra to her knees. Tony was brought forward next, bleeding and subdued, along with 6 other conspirators. The wolves who'd helped orchestrate the attack. Who'd let rogues into their home? Who'd chosen ambition over loyalty? Under pack law, the punishment for treason is death, Derek said, his voice carrying to every corner of the room. But this judgment belongs to my mate. These wolves attacked her. Tried to destroy her. The sentence is hers to deliver. Every eye turned to Sophia. She could feel their assessment. Their doubt. This was her test, the moment that would define her reign before it even began. Show mercy, and they'd call her weak. Show cruelty, and they'd call her tyrant. But Sophia had learned something crucial in the darkness when she'd been dying. True strength wasn't about proving yourself to others. It was about knowing your own worth and acting from that certainty. Death would be easy, she said quietly. You'd become martyrs. Cautionary tales. Maybe even legends to those who sympathize with your twisted beliefs. She walked along the line of traitors, meeting each pair of eyes. But I won't give you that mercy. Cassandra's eyes widened with something like fear. Strip them of their rank, Sophia commanded. Strip them of their pack bonds. Cast them out as lone wolves, no territory, no protection, no home. Her voice hardened. Let them survive in the world they tried to drag us into. Let them know what it means to be powerless and alone. Gasps rippled through the assembly. It was a devastating sentence, worse than death for pack wolves who'd known nothing but community and belonging. And if they ever return to royal packlands, Sophia continued, or if they threaten any wolf under our protection, then they die. No trial. No second chances. You can't, Tony started. I can. Sophia's wolf surged to the surface, her eyes blazing pure gold. I am your Luna Queen. And you will never question my authority again. The power in her voice drove every wolf in the room to bare their throats in submission, even the traitors, even those who doubted her. Derek's pride blazed through the bond so intensely it nearly drove her to her knees. That's my mate. My queen. My equal. The sentence is just, he declared. And will be carried out immediately. Remove them from our lands. As the traitors were dragged away, Cassandra screaming promises of revenge that would never come to fruition, the Queen Mother approached the dais. Well, she said, the corners of her mouth lifting in the first genuine smile Sophia had seen from her. I believe I owe you an apology, child. Your Majesty. Call me Olive. The Queen Mother, Olive, took Sophia's hands in hers. I judged you on what I saw, a frightened girl with no training. I didn't see what my son saw. What fate saw. Her amber eyes grew warm. A survivor. A fighter. A queen worthy of our bloodline. Tears stung Sophia's eyes. I'm still learning. We all are. Every day. Olive squeezed her hands. But you've already proven what matters most, you're willing to fight for this pack. For my son. For the future you're building together. She stepped back and, in front of the entire assembly, bowed deeply. My Luna. My queen. One by one, every wolf in the room followed suit. Bowing. Submitting. Accepting. Sophia looked at Derek, overwhelmed, and found him watching her with such love and pride that it stole her breath. Ready for your coronation? He asked softly, extending his hand. She thought of the girl who'd hidden in shadows at her stepfather's pack. The girl who'd been told she was worthless, broken, undeserving of love or power or happiness. That girl was gone. In her place stood a Luna Queen who'd fought death itself and won. Who'd learned that true strength came from choosing to rise, no matter how many times the world tried to push you down. Sophia took Derek's hand, their fingers intertwining perfectly. I'm ready, she said. And meant it with every fiber of her being. The broken girl had become a queen. And her reign was just beginning. The coronation took place under the full moon, as tradition demanded. Sophia stood in the sacred clearing where generations of Luna queens had been crowned, surrounded by the entire pack. Torches blazed in a circle around them, casting dancing shadows across ancient stones carved with wolf symbols. She wore white, a gown that flowed like moonlight, simple yet elegant. Her dark hair had been woven with silver threads and winter flowers. But it wasn't the dress that made wolves stare in awe. It was the way she carried herself, head high, shoulders back, eyes clear and fearless. The transformation was complete. Derek stood before her in formal ceremonial robes, looking every inch the alpha king. But when their eyes met, Sophia saw past the crown and the power to the man who'd risked everything to save her. The man who'd loved her when she couldn't love herself. I'm nervous, she admitted through their bond. Good, he replied, his mental voice warm with affection. Means you care. But Sophia, look around you. She did. And saw acceptance in the eyes watching her. Respect. Even admiration. The same wolves who'd whispered and mocked just weeks ago now stood witness to her claiming her rightful place. Some, like the warriors she'd fought beside during the attack, wore expressions of fierce loyalty. She'd earned this. Not through birthright or political maneuvering, but through blood and courage and the willingness to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. Olive stepped forward, carrying a circlet of silver and moonstones, the Luna Queen's crown, passed down through centuries. Sophia Whitlock, Olive's voice rang out clear and strong. You have proven yourself worthy through trial by fire. You have faced death and returned stronger. You have defended this pack with your life. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. Do you accept the responsibility of Luna Queen? To lead beside your mate, to protect the weak, to uphold our laws, and to guide our pack into the future? I do. Sophia's voice didn't waver. Then by the power vested in me, by the blood of queens who came before, I crown you Luna Queen of the royal pack. The circlet settled on Sophia's head, cool and solid and right. Power surged through the bond as the pack magic recognized her, binding her to every wolf present in threads of loyalty and protection. The clearing erupted in hells, hundreds of voices raised in celebration and acceptance. Derek stepped forward, and the crowd quieted. He took her hands, his silver eyes blazing with love so intense it made her breathless. I had a speech prepared, he said, loud enough for all to hear. Something formal and appropriate for this moment. His mouth quirked in a smile. But formality was never what we needed. He turned to address the pack. 3 weeks ago, fate gave me a gift I didn't expect. Not the perfect political match I'd been told I needed. Not the warrior princess legends said I deserved. But a woman who knew suffering and survival. A woman who understood that true strength isn't about never falling, it's about rising every single time. His thumbs traced circles on her palms. Sophia taught me that being a good king isn't about ruling through fear or power alone. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. About seeing worth in places others overlook. He looked back at her. She made me better. And she'll make this pack better too. Sophia's eyes burned with happy tears. I love you, Derek said simply, just for her. My mate. My queen. My everything. I love you too, she whispered back. Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible. You were never invisible to me. He kissed her then, in front of the entire pack, a claiming and a promise and a celebration all at once. The crowd erupted again, joy and acceptance flowing through the pack bonds like warm honey. 6 months later. Sophia walked through the pack village, no longer afraid of the stares that followed her. Now they were filled with respect, with gratitude, with the kind of loyalty that had to be earned. She'd spent the months since her coronation proving herself in ways large and small. Establishing programs for Omega wolves who'd been overlooked. Training sessions for young females who'd been told they weren't strong enough. Opening the pack's borders to refugees from territories torn apart by rogue attacks. And every decision, every innovation, made the pack stronger. Luna Queen. A small girl ran up to her, eyes bright with excitement. Is it true you couldn't shift properly before the Alpha King found you? Sophia knelt down, smiling. It's true. My wolf was very weak. But you're so strong now. The strongest. The girl bounced on her toes. My mama says if you can become a queen, then I can be anything I want. Sophia's heart clenched with emotion. Your mama is absolutely right. Being strong isn't about where you start, it's about refusing to give up. The girl beamed and ran off, leaving Sophia blinking back tears. Strong arms wrapped around her from behind. Still making little girls believe in themselves? Derek murmured against her ear. Someone has to. She leaned back against his chest. Besides, it's true. If I can go from hiding in shadows to leading a pack, anyone can achieve their dreams. He nuzzled her neck. Speaking of dreams. I have news. Good news or bad news? Depends on your perspective. His hand slid to her stomach, and Sophia's breath caught. The healer confirmed it this morning. You're pregnant. Time seemed to stop. She turned in his arms, searching his face. How do you feel about that? His smile was radiant. Terrified. Ecstatic. Grateful. He kissed her softly. Ready to watch you be an amazing mother the way you're an amazing queen. Joy bubbled up inside her, pure and overwhelming. A year ago, she'd believed she deserved nothing. Had no future worth fighting for. Now she had everything. A mate who loved her fiercely. A pack who respected her. A future bright with possibility. And soon, a child who would never know what it meant to be told they weren't enough. I love you, she said, framing his face with her hands. Thank you for refusing to let me hide. I love you too. Derek rested his forehead against hers. Thank you for being brave enough to step into the light. Around them, the pack continued about their day, children playing, warriors training, wolves living in peace and prosperity under the rule of a king who led with strength and a queen who led with heart. Sophia looked up at the sky, at the sun breaking through clouds, and thought about the girl she used to be. The one her stepsister had mocked. The one who'd believed she'd never be anyone's type, never be chosen, never be worthy. That girl had been wrong about everything. Because she hadn't just been chosen by fate. She'd been chosen by love. And that made all the difference. Oh my goodness, what a journey this has been. From the shadows to the throne, from broken to powerful, from invisible to absolutely unforgettable, Sophia's story is proof that your beginning doesn't determine your ending. That the right person will see your worth even when you can't see it yourself. That fate knows exactly what it's doing, even when it seems impossible. I hope you loved this story as much as I loved sharing it with you. If you did, please give this video a huge thumbs up, drop a comment telling me your favorite moment. Mine was when Sophia finally let her wolf rise. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already because we have so many more emotional, romantic, powerful stories coming your way. What should our next story be about? Drop your suggestions in the comments. I love hearing from you beautiful souls. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are powerful, and you are exactly who you're meant to be. Don't let anyone, not even yourself, tell you otherwise. Sending you all so much love. See you in the next story.